Hello everyone, we're group 26 from tutorial 10. My name is Oluchi Victoria Ikonve and I'm here with my teammates Chuke Buka Daniel Onha and Ifoma Juliana Ibeme. Today we are looking at a big question: can growing a country's GDP actually help reduce poverty? We'll be focusing on Nigeria to explore this. Now, a lot of our countries, including Nigeria, have seen their economies growing in recent years. GDP has gone up, and at first glance, that looks like progress. More goods and services, more money being made, it should mean less poverty, right? But in Nigeria's case, the reality is different. Nigeria is called the giant of Africa with over 200 million, lots of oil and gas and land that's great for farming. It has everything it needs to do well. Over the past 20 years, the country's GDP has grown a lot, mainly from oil, farming, and now tech and banking. You may have heard of startups like Flutterwave and Paystack. They have brought in international money and attention. So yes, the economy is growing. But here's the issue. Poverty is still very high. Over 40% of Nigerians live below the poverty line. That's more than 80 million people. So clearly there's something not working. The main problem is that this growth isn't being shared fairly. It's mostly helping the rich people, people involved in oil and finance, government. The average people doesn't feel the impact. No better job, no better healthcare, and no better education. So what's the way forward? This is where the SME comes in. That's the small and medium enterprises. This really matters. All over the world, SME may help with poverty, they create jobs, especially for women, young people, and people in rural areas. In Nigeria, make up to 96% of all businesses and contribute nearly half of the country's GDP. That's huge. We run shops, farms, restaurants, transport services, fashion brands, you just name it. These are the businesses people see every day in their communities. However, they are important. They face serious challenges. Let's talk about those. First, infrastructure. Electricity is a very big problem. A lot of businesses have to rely on generators with the increment in for which are very expensive. The roads are so bad, which makes it hard to move goods. And with the bad roads, transporting goods around makes like they hike the price, double the price, which creates less profits for small scale businesses. They also have the issue with finance. Most SME can't get loans from banks. They ask for collateral or charge high interest. So only about 4% of small businesses get formal funding. That holds them back from growing. Third, we've got the bureaucracy and red tape. It's not easy to register or run a business in Nigeria. There's a lot of paperwork, high fees, and sometimes corruption. All of that makes life harder for small businesses. Fourthly, insecurity. In some parts of Nigeria, safety is a real issue. Conflict and violence have made it so risky for businesses to operate. Some have had to close or even move away. And lastly, this gap. A lot of young people finish school without the right skills. Yes, for the job market. So why unemployment is high? Businesses still struggle to find qualified workers. So what's the solution? Nigerians need to focus less on big numbers, more on making good work for everyone, especially those running small businesses. That means fixing roads, electricity, and internet. Making loans and grants easier to access, offering training and mentoring for small business owners. Also cutting down on red tape and supporting women and youth with targeted programs. If we can help these businesses grow, then more people will have stable jobs, yeah, steady incomes and better lives. That's how GDP growth can actually reduce poverty. And this isn't just about Nigeria. As the largest economy in West Africa, Nigeria has the power to influence the whole region. A stronger Nigeria means better trade, peace, and progress across Africa, especially through efforts like the African Continental Free Trade Area. It also supports global goals like the UN Sustainability Development Goals. especially ending poverty, creating decent jobs, and reducing inequality. So now I'll be passing on to my colleague. Daniel. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chukwuebuka Daniel Onoha, and I'll be taking on from my colleague Oluchi. So, to understand the wider environment Nigeria business operates in, let's break it down using like our best tool analysis, which covers political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. So, politically, frequent changes in government policies and widespread corruption create uncertainty. Business owners often don't know what to expect when it comes to like long-term planning, and that actually makes it very difficult for them to move ahead. So, because of the constant changes in political decisions and policies from our lawmakers and the government, most times it is very difficult for small-scale businesses to thrive. If they had like a stable condition to work with, then that would have made it easier and better for them to um, help the economy grow or provide more to the GDP of Nigeria. So economically also, inflation remains high and the naira has lost value over time. Nigeria also depends heavily on oil, like losing value over time. Basically, I think for when it comes to like the naira losing value, a few years ago, the naira was as of far back as of 1980 something also. I think the naira was at least, I think the naira was higher than the dollar. At a point it got equal $1 to $1, and then from there it started declining up to this point where it has gone down to 1,600 at the moment. So we could see the steady decline when it comes to the naira and inflation. Nigeria depends heavily on oil, which is very risky, like because you can't just put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to like economy of the country. They can actually try to like diversify, go back, go into agriculture or whatever, but they haven't, obviously, and they've put all their eggs into this whole oil basket, and it's, to me, I feel like it's very, very risky. Global oil price shocks often affect government revenue, and it also would affect investment in other sectors because basically they've turned to oil as their main source of income. Socially, Nigeria has like a very young population. This is both the strength and the challenge. On one hand, young people bring enough energy and creativity, while on the other hand, millions are looking for jobs and that are simply not there. Basically, thousands of people leaving school every year, and looking for jobs that you can barely say, oh, this job is non-existent and all that. How are we going to like provide jobs for this young group of people who are very energetic, who want to give in their very best when it comes to growing the economy? So you also say technologically, there's a digital divide. Urban areas like Lagos are embracing fintech and innovation, but rural areas like Gombe, Maiduguri, Yobe, mostly in the northern part of Nigeria, are like basic internet access, and this creating inequality in business opportunities. I think in the south and in the east, like it's a fair like it can swing both ways. There are some places in the east and south where you find like very poor electricity and also, but at least fair enough that you can actually see fast growing places like Imo State, Port Harcourt, if you Enugu, Abia State, I think Abia State quite now, if you go and see what Abia State are doing, the current governor of Abia State is doing there, you could see like a whole lots of things that the man is bringing to into the economy there. So you can say legally also the court system is slow and inconsistent. Most times it takes like long and years to resolve like business disputes, and because of the complex tax laws, often confuses most small scale business owners because they actually do not have like enough legal backings or legal support to actually decipher what the tax laws. Like I said, I think I have a friend who tried to open up a business for most of how long he probably did not even pay tax because he didn't even know he had to even be paying tax as at then. I think on some time he had a run in with FIRS, and then they realized that he has been owing like millions in tax, and probably lost like most of his money because of that. I think the business closed at that time. So all these things actually happen. So when you come back to the environmental factors, you can actually see that climate change is affecting sectors like agriculture. Many farmers lack modern eco-friendly tools, and flooding or droughts can ruin their crops. Not, I think recently, also back in I think last year, Benue State, the food basket of the nation, where there's lots of agriculture going down there. they actually have a very big flaw in them. Most political leaders that could have actually done more to help decide to turn into a campaign. That's probably right, citing the height of corruption when it comes to the country. So that also is a factor. Um, so these things actually hurt like their business and the wider economy. So this analysis simply shows that for SMEs to grow, Nigeria needs like to improve conditions across the 6 areas when it comes to the pesto. So if they kind of like increase like improve our conditions across these things, I'm sure SMEs will grow. So when you can also say that now let's shift our focus and look at what Nigeria can learn from other countries that have successfully used SMEs to grow the economies, specifically China and the UK, where we are right now. So in China, one key strategy that was used was the creation of the special economic zones. So these are areas with better infrastructure, fewer regulations, and tax incentives for businesses. So let me say, like places like the Shenzhen County in China that was transformed from like a small town into a global business hub. Nigeria's already started trying this with places like in Lagos and Ogun State, but more investment and better management and needed to make them fully work. Also, they could actually also try to also do this in the north, but because of insecurities and a few other factors, it's actually very, very difficult to get this done there. So they need to like make it better for small scale businesses to work fully well. China also offers financial support to SMEs through government programs and state-backed banks. This helps like small SMEs, like small-scale businesses, to scale up and create jobs. Nigeria could do something similar by also setting up a national SME bank that works with fintech companies like the OPay, the PalmPay, that recently and high flying to deliver loans efficiently and able to get back this. I think part of the reason why most of these fintechs don't want to give out much loans, although some of them do give out like petty loans, but they cannot give you enough to start up a business, is because most times people end up not paying. And then if the government actually backed these things very well, I'm sure they would probably give out better loans to help. Listen. So on the other hand, the UK focuses on simplicity and support. You can register a business online in a few minutes here. Indeed, they have like very strong legal protections for small businesses, and institutions like the British Business Bank, which provides affordable loans and expert advice, can actually have actually helped in helping these little businesses to grow. Well, so if Nigeria can combine like China's infrastructure and funding model with UK's legal and digital systems, I am sure and I'm certain, like for a fact, that if they combine these two, China's infrastructure and funding models with UK's legal and data system, we can build like a stronger environment for SMEs to thrive in. So now let's take a look at some data to show how SMEs in Nigeria compare with those in China. So this is like a graphical or a pie chart kind of data. So it's like a graphical or pie chart kind of data. So when you look at that, when you look at that of GDP contribution, China's SME contribute around 38.5 percent to the economy. Nigeria's SME contribute about 30 to 48%, depending on the source. So most times the source varies, and because it is not a stable something. That is why most sources tell you it can be growing from 38, from 30% to around 48%. So why the UK's SME also contribute around 30%, but they are highly formalized and integrated into global supply chain. So in the UK here, those little SMEs actually go deep down into supply chain. So they actually help everything in the country move well and along. Yeah, so looking at employment, SMEs in Nigeria provide about 37.5% of all jobs. That's significant. You get, so when it comes to the UK has like a 26.8%, and then China has like a 35%. So in as much as Nigeria has like a lot, because of how not fully skilled they are not giving much back to the GDP of the economy in Nigeria. Like it's not as much as how the UK and China actually contribute to this. So when you just, that's the number, there's still room to grow when you compare it to like Nigeria. So when we look at the number of businesses in the United Kingdom and check that of that in Nigeria and then that of China, you see that they just show that how central they are to like the UK's economy and all these things. So what can we learn from this? Um one kind of SMEs in Nigeria are already contributing a lot, but they are not operating at full capacity. With better infrastructure funding and support systems, their contribution could be much higher, especially in job creation and then exports. Given that we actually have like good farmlands that could actually create more. I think at the time like Nigeria are actually very good at creating palm oil, but now we are not even the best at palm oil. I think it's Malaysia or something like that. So and Malaysia took their very first palm kernels from Nigeria. So it's always like bad leadership and everything. So even though growth projections often don't break things down by business size, we can know that SMEs are key players in driving GDP growth. In Nigeria, SMEs make up about 48% of GDP and over 8% of employment. That's massive. In China, SMEs contribute more than 6% of GDP, and in the UK, almost all the SMEs are SMEs, so their impact is clearly huge. Now, look at GDP growth projections for 2024. If you look at the projection for 2024, you will notice that Nigeria is looking at 3.3% growth. China is looking at 4.5% growth according to World Bank, and UK is looking at 1.0% growth. But these numbers show that economic recovery and growth in each of these countries depends heavily on SMEs. If we ignore small businesses, we limit national progress. So the goal isn't just to have like more SMEs. I think it's more like to support them better because they are the true drivers of job creation, innovation, and long-term stability. So I'll pass it on to my colleague Ifoma to continue from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm Ifoma, and I'll be wrapping up our presentation today by focusing on a powerful idea: small and medium enterprise, SME. They are not just small businesses, they are big solutions to some of Nigerians' biggest challenges. Let me walk you through 5 clear, actionable steps Nigeria can take right now to unlock the full potentials of SMEs. And in doing so, transformation of our economy and society will be great. Number one, we have established regional SME support centers. We often assume entrepreneurs can find their way on their own, but the truth is many small business owners lack the insights, resources, and support. That's why we need regional SME support centers, like a physical and digital one-stop shop where business owners can access mentorship and business advice, receive hands-on training and upskilling, use digital tools and platforms to run their businesses more effectively. These centers will become hubs of innovation and empowerment, especially for youth and women entrepreneurs. Number two, expand access to finance. Most small business owners in Nigeria struggle to get funding, especially those in rural areas. Why? Because banks often have high collateral requirements, complicated application processes, limited physical presence outside urban centers. To address this, Nigeria should establish a national SME development bank that partners with fintech companies to provide microloans via mobile app, use digital credit scoring to reach underserved groups, ensure rural entrepreneurs can apply for loans using just their phones. When SMEs have access to finance, they can grow. They can grow higher and contribute meaningfully to the economy. Number three, invest in critical infrastructure. You can't run a successful business when the power goes out constantly, roads are in poor condition, internet is slow or unavailable, amongst others. Infrastructure is not just a luxury, it's a lifeline for SMEs. We must invest in stable electricity, efficient transportation networks, high-speed internet, especially in the rural areas, and make funds available to entrepreneurs that are still growing. This is even more urgent in special economic zones where reliable infrastructures can help SMEs scale faster and smarter. Number four, reform education to match market needs. Every year, thousands of Nigerian graduates can't find work. These are appalling in a country that intends to be the face of Africa, that intends to be the face of the world entrepreneurially and innovationally. not because they lack degrees, but because they lack market-relevant skills. To address this, schools must partner with industries to offer vocational training and apprenticeship. Curricula should focus on practical job-ready skills like coding, carpentry, tailoring, plumbing, welding, and digital marketing. When we align education with real-world needs, we empower young people to either enter the workforce with confidence or become entrepreneurs themselves. Thank you.
Thank you all for your attention and for being part of this important conversation today. As we've discussed, Nigeria's path to sustainable growth and development hinges on empowering small and medium-sized enterprises. By tackling the challenges they face and adopting strategies tailored to our context, we can unlock immense potential in not just for the economy, but for the lives of millions of Nigerians. So let's remember, SMEs are not just small business, they are like the foundation of a stronger, more inclusive Nigeria. With the right investment and policies in place, we can transform our economy, create jobs, and ensure a brighter future for all. Thank you once again for your time, and let's continue to work together towards a more prosperous and equitable Nigeria. Thank you.